I left Anacostia in December 2004. Got incorporated January 2005 with my own nonprofit, Training Grounds. Didn't have anywhere to do my nonprofit. It was just something that I knew burned in my belly I should get out in the streets and do. And I never heard of Operation Hope, and they opened this beautiful building, and I walked in here and said, hey, listen, my name is Tom, you all don't know me, but here's what I want to do for the community. And I don't have an office, I work this out of my car basically right now. I used to teach at Anacostia, and they'll tell you my track record. And they opened their doors, and I got my start here. Now that was 5 years ago. I just January 15th celebrated my 5-year anniversary for my own nonprofit business. Great job.
Hallelujah.
The deal is, I got started right in this room. We used to just pull the little tables together, made these tables here, made one big table, chairs, and I got started with about 10 or 15 people. And one of my good buddies, Tracy Bailey, who was working here at the time, Ray Jane Trace, was one of the people he was the main person at that time that supported me in that endeavor, because he just got my back and said, Tom, we're going to make sure you have everything. Students will have access to the computers and everything. So I'm indebted to this Operation Hope, but to this very room. And so many people have made up the things that I've been fortunate enough to do. A couple more people I just wanted to give shout out to. Anybody that serves on the Ward 8 Workforce Development Council, could you just stand, at least wave your hand? I see a couple of our members out in the hall, Herm and Ron, Stacy Smith, a couple of others. Let me get you to understand about me. I'm not wired for a lot of rhetoric or talk if there's not a lot of action tied to it. I just don't want to be a part of it. And everybody on that council, starting with my partner, Allie, we think the same way. And we go to bat all we can to get the better opportunities. But I don't want to sit up here and stand like a politician. I just want to talk to you about real life. See, because I'm standing in a suit now. And I'm chair of the Ward 8 Workforce Development Council, and I'm founder and CEO of Training Grounds. But let me tell you what happened in between me being born in Valley Green and this day. Let me tell you what happened before I was a teacher at Anacostia Senior High School from 2000 to 2004. See, because I had plans that were opposite to what God's plan was for my life.
Hallelujah. Yes.
And I went through a series of events that led me to reassess my value on this planet. And there was a time in my life back in 1995, I'm sorry, where things had gotten so bad and so dark, you all, that I went on the 14th Street Bridge. You may have seen it on the news. I held up traffic, and I was trying to commit suicide on the 14th Street Bridge in 1995. And I can tell you that there was no way in 1995, you get my good side, no way in 1995 that I could predict what was going to happen for the remaining 15 years of my personal life. I can tell you that I woke up that morning and I just felt bad because I was homeless at the time. I slept on the basement floor of my grandmother's house that night before. Had spent many nights sleeping in other places, all leading up to that moment, and I hated me. I was a parent of 2 children at the time, and I was a deadbeat dad, not by choice, but by circumstance. In the courts, and my baby's mother and my family was beating me up because of it. I had a couple of businesses that had went south on me, and I was making no money, but I had a lot of drive and energy, and now all this drive and energy amounted to nothing at that point. So I woke up that day, and I remember the conversation I had that day. Now, I need you to go with me because nobody was in the room yet I was talking. My thoughts were talking, and I was talking back, and those thoughts said, you used to be a minister. You used to be in front of churches preaching. You used to go to Lorton and preach. You used to go to Upper Marlboro and preach, and look at you now. Just the voice in me in my grandmother's basement. Where you going to go now, Mr. Preacher Man, Mr. Businessman, Mr. Entrepreneur? Me and this voice having a conversation in June of '95. I went upstairs to my grandmother and basically was looking for her to console me just a little bit. But you got to understand, I'm a grown man living in the basement of her house, and she wasn't having no pity that day.
I know that's right.
And my grandmother loved me, but at that moment, she just didn't have the pity. And I wasn't looking for a pity party. I was just looking for a little consoling because I was in such a dark place. And I tell you, I put my clothes on after having a short conversation where I was still wounded. And I put my clothes on, and I already made up my mind that I was going to do something to end it. Because what you also should know is 3 months prior, in April of that year, 2 months prior, April of that year, my best friend and my uncle, which was her youngest son, had already committed suicide. So the strongest man I knew 2 months prior did it. So my mind is thinking, you know, it's just, I got to do this. Because if he couldn't handle the world, I guess the same is true about me. So I got up and I went and stopped at a couple of people's houses that they didn't know I was